Lei stared at her screen in the dark room. The numbers did not make sense. She checked them again, then again. Her hands began to shake. She worked in Earth's intelligence center, buried deep under the mountains of Switzerland. Her job was simple. She listened to alien communications. She translated them. She reported anything strange. For 3 years, nothing strange had happened. The aliens talked about trade. They talked about politics. They talked about boring things. But tonight was different. Had found something hidden in the regular transmissions, a secret message. It was coded in a way she had never seen before. It took her 6 hours to break it. When she finally read the words, her blood turned cold. Target confirmed, species 447, coordinates locked, strike authorized, no survivors. Species 447 was humanity, that was Earth. She ran. General was sleeping when burst into his quarters. He was 60 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in 3 wars. He had seen many young officers panic over nothing. But when he saw his face, he knew this was not nothing. He read the message. He read it twice. Then he picked up his phone and called every military commander on Earth. "We have 72 hours, he told them, maybe less. The Galactic Assembly laughed at them. The aliens who were supposed to keep peace in the galaxy called humanity paranoid. They called them children. They said the Dominion would never attack a member species. "You are young," the assembly speaker told General through the video screen. "You do not understand how things work. They are aggressive, yes, but they follow the rules. You are safe." Ended the call. He did not believe them. He ordered Earth's defense systems to full alert. He moved warships into position. He prayed he was wrong. He was not wrong. The came on a Tuesday morning. Park was drinking coffee in Seoul when the sky turned red. He was a captain in the Special Forces, home on leave to visit his mother. He had just told her a joke. She was laughing. Then the world exploded. They did not warn them. They did not declare war. They simply appeared in Earth's orbit with 500 warships and began firing. Their weapons were beyond anything humans had ever seen. Beams of pure energy fell from the sky like rain from hell. Soul vanished in seconds, watched his mother turn to ash in front of his eyes. He watched his city, his home, his entire world disappear in fire. He should have died too, but he was standing next to a blast shelter. The door was open. He fell inside as the flames washed over everything. When he crawled out 3 hours later, there was nothing left, just smoke and silence and the smell of burned flesh. Across the world it was the same. New York gone, Mumbai gone, London gone, Beijing gone, Lagos gone. They targeted every major city on every continent. They fired without stopping for 3 days. 3 billion people died. General watched it happen from the Antarctic command bunker. He watched the death counts rise. 100 million, 500 million, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. The numbers stopped meaning anything. They were just numbers. Behind each one was a person, a family, a life, all gone. His hands did not shake, his voice did not break. He gave orders. He coordinated the survivors. He did his job. But inside, something died with those 3 billion people, something human. On the 3rd day, they stopped firing. A message appeared on every screen on Earth. A high commander's face filled the display. He was tall and thin with gray skin and black eyes that held no warmth. His voice was calm, almost bored. Humans of Earth, your species has been culled. This was necessary. Your kind grows too fast. You breed too quickly. You spread too far. In 100 years, you would have threatened our dominion. We have prevented this. You will now accept our rule. You will serve us. This is not a request. Resist, and we will finish what we started. You have 1 week to surrender. Well, the message ended. General sat in silence. Around him, the surviving leaders of Earth argued. Some wanted to surrender, some wanted to fight, some just stared at nothing, broken by what they had seen. Thought about his daughter. She had lived in Tokyo. She was gone now. He thought about his also gone. He thought about every person he had ever known, ever loved, ever served beside. Most of them were gone. Surrender was not an option. He stood up. The room fell silent. We cannot win with our current forces, he said. His voice was quiet but strong. Our fleet is broken. Our armies are scattered. They have 500 ships in orbit. We have 30. Then what do we do? Someone asked. Looked across the room. In the corner, a woman sat alone. She had not spoken during the entire meeting. Her name was, she was a scientist. She was also the keeper of humanity's darkest secret. Doctor said, tell them about Project Pandora. The room went very quiet. Some of the older leaders turned pale. They knew that name. They had hoped to never hear it again. Stood slowly. She was 50 years old but looked older. There were shadows under her eyes and gray in her hair. She had not slept in 3 days. In 2105, she began, we discovered something. Some humans could be changed, enhanced, made into something more. We called the Project Pandora. She paused. The subjects became stronger, faster, and harder to kill. Some developed abilities we still do not understand. They became perfect soldiers. What happened to them? A young officer asked. His face darkened. They became too perfect. They lost their humanity. They became predators. In 2107, there was an incident. It was classified. After that, the project was terminated. The surviving subjects were put into frozen sleep. They were buried in a facility in Siberia. We call it the Vault. How many? Asked. 147. The room erupted. People shouted. People argued. People called a monster for creating such things, but raised his hand and silence returned. Can you wake them? He asked. Met his eyes. She thought about what she had done. She thought about the things sleeping in the dark. She thought about the 3 billion dead. Yes, she said, but you need to understand something. These are not soldiers. They are not weapons. They are monsters. We locked them away because we were afraid of what they could do. If we release them, we cannot control them. We cannot predict what will happen. Nodded slowly. They killed 3 billion of our people. They expect us to kneel. They do not know what we have buried in the ice. He turned to face the room. We created monsters once. We were ashamed of them. We hid them. But now our enemies have made us desperate, and desperate humans are the most dangerous thing in the universe. Well, he looked at. Awake them. The helicopter flew low over the Siberian ice. Below them there was nothing but white, no trees, no buildings, no life, just endless frozen ground stretching to the horizon. General sat in silence. Beside him was Doctor. Across from them sat Captain Park. He had been pulled from the ruins of Seoul 3 days ago. His burns were still healing. His eyes were still empty. but when asked for volunteers was the first to step forward. "You should know what we're walking into," said. Her voice was barely audible over the helicopter's engines. "I helped create them. I watched what they became. I still have nightmares." Looked at her. "I watched my mother burn. I don't think your nightmares are worse than mine." Said nothing. He was wrong, but she did not tell him that. The helicopter landed near a small metal building half buried in snow. It looked abandoned. It looked like nothing. That was the point. Inside, they found an elevator, pressed her hand to a scanner. The doors opened. They stepped inside and began to descend. They went down for a long time, 100 meters, 200, 500. The air grew cold. The walls changed from metal to rock. They were going deep into the earth, into a place that was never supposed to be opened again. The elevator stopped, the doors opened, and they entered the vault. It was enormous, a massive cavern carved from solid rock kept at freezing temperature. The walls were lined with warning signs in every language: danger, biohazard, do not enter. The lights were dim, casting long shadows across the floor. And along the walls, in neat rows, stood the pods. 147 of them. Each pod was made of black metal and thick glass. Inside each one, a human figure floated in pale blue liquid. They looked peaceful, they looked dead, but they were neither. Walked along the rows, her footsteps echoing in the silence. She remembered each of their faces. She remembered their names. She remembered what they had been before the project changed them. "They volunteered," she said quietly. "Every single one of them. We did not force anyone. They came to us, soldiers who had lost everything. Scientists who wanted to push the limits of human potential. Ordinary people who wanted to become something more." She paused by one pod and touched the glass. They did not know what it would cost them. Looked at the figure inside. It was a man, young, with a calm face. He could have been sleeping. What did it cost them? Their humanity, said. The enhancement process changed their bodies, made them stronger, faster, harder to kill. But it also changed their minds. The part of the brain that feels fear, that feels mercy, that feels connection to other humans, we had to modify it. We had to reduce it. Otherwise, the body rejected the changes. So they feel nothing. No, they feel everything, but differently. They do not feel fear like we do. They do not feel pity like we do. They are predators now. They see the world the way a wolf sees sheep. She turned to face, and we are the sheep. The general joined them. His face was hard. We need to wake one first, test if they can be controlled, if they can follow orders. Nodded, she walked to a specific pod near the center of the room. The figure inside was a man in his late 20s. He had a strong jaw and short black hair. His file said his name was. Why him? Asked. Because he was different, said. Before the project, he was a philosophy student. His family died in a terrorist attack. He volunteered to become something that could prevent such attacks. Even after the enhancement, he kept some of his humanity. He could think, he could reason. If any of them can be controlled, it will be him. She began the awakening process. Machines hummed to life. The blue liquid drained from the pod. Monitors showed vital signs returning to normal. Heart rate, brain activity, everything climbing toward consciousness. Then the pod opened. His eyes snapped open. They were strange eyes. The irises were not a normal color. They shifted and moved like liquid metal. silver one moment, dark gray the next, inhuman eyes in a human face. He did not move for a long moment, he just breathed, in and out, slow and steady. Then he turned his head and looked at them. Felt something he had not felt since soul. Fear, pure, primal fear. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to run. This was not a man looking at them. This was something else, something that saw them as prey. But did not attack, he just watched them with those silver eyes. How long? His voice was rough from 80 years of silence. 80 years, answered. He processed this, 80 years, everyone he knew was dead. The world had moved on without him. He was a relic from a forgotten time, a monster from a buried past. Why did you wake me? General stepped forward. Earth is under attack. An alien species called They killed 3 billion of our people. Our military cannot stop them. We need you. Smiled. It was not a comforting smile. It showed too many teeth. You need monsters. Well, yes. Stepped out of the pod. He moved like water, smooth and silent. Every motion was controlled, efficient, deadly. He looked at the rows of pods around him. The others. Still sleeping, we wanted to wake you first, to see if you could be trusted. Laughed. It was a cold sound. Trusted. No, we cannot be trusted. We are exactly what you made us, killers, predators, things that hunt and destroy. He walked closer to, but we can be pointed. Give us a target. Give us something to hunt. We will do the rest. Stepped between them. Do you remember me? He looked at her for a moment. His silver eyes softened, just a fraction. Doctor, yes, I remember you. I remember the tests, the surgeries, the pain. His eyes hardened again. I remember everything. Did not look away. I am sorry for what we did to you, for what we made you become. Sorry, tilted his head. Do not be sorry. You gave us purpose. You gave us power. We asked for this. He turned back to the pods. You should be sorry for one thing only. What? That you buried us, that you locked us away like shameful secrets. We could have protected humanity. Instead, you hid us in the dark while 3 billion people died. His voice grew cold. That is what you should be sorry for. The words hit like a physical blow. He was right. She knew he was right. They had been afraid of what they created. They had chosen fear over protection, and now billions had paid the price. We can still save the rest, said, but we need your help. Will you fight for humanity? Was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the pods. He looked at the soldiers standing guard at the door. He looked at the fear in their eyes. We will fight, he said finally, not because we love humanity. We have forgotten what that feels like. We will fight because it is what we were made for, because the alternative is staying in these pods forever. He met eyes. Wake the others. Let us do what you created us to do. Nodded, and afters, when the war is over, what then? Smiled again, that terrible predator smile. That depends on you, on how you treat us, on whether you try to put us back in boxes when we are done. He looked at, we are not your weapons, we are not your soldiers, we are your consequences. You made us because you were afraid of what humans could become. Now you will see exactly what that means. He turned and walked toward the other pods. Wake them, all of them, the wanted to see what humanity was capable of. His silver eyes glowed in the dim light. Let us show them. They held Earth's orbital stations, 10,000 soldiers on 5 massive platforms. They controlled the space above the planet. Nothing could reach Earth without their permission. They were confident, they were comfortable, they believed they had already won. They were wrong. Captain Park watched from the command ship as 50 drop pods launched toward the stations. Each pod contained one awakened, just 50 against 10,000. The numbers were insane, had argued against this plan. He had said it was suicide. I had laughed. Suicide? No, Captain, this is hunting. The pods hit the stations like meteors. Metal screamed and tore. Alarms filled the air, and then the killing began. Watched through drone cameras, he had seen combat before. He had killed enemies with his own hands. He thought he understood violence. He was wrong. The awakened moved through the soldiers like fire through dry grass. They were faster than the eye could follow, stronger than anything living should be. They fired their weapons, but the awakened dodged bullets. They grabbed soldiers and broke them like toys. They moved through walls, through doors, through anything in their way. Led the assault on the central station. He did not use weapons, he did not need them. His hands were enough. Watched him tear through a squad of 20 in less than 10 seconds. The alien soldiers screamed and fired and died, did not slow down. He did not hesitate. He was a machine of death wearing human skin. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, there were no survivors. 10,000 soldiers dead, 50 awakened, all alive, not even injured. His hands were shaking when the awakened returned to the command ship. He could not look at them. He could not look at what he had seen. Was not war, it was extermination. Noticed his fear. You are afraid of us. Forced himself to meet those silver eyes. Yes. Good's voice was calm. Fear keeps you careful. Fear keeps you alive. Do not lose that fear, Captain. It is the only thing protecting you. The galaxy took notice. Within days, reports spread through alien networks. Humans had deployed something new, something terrible. Soldiers who survived the first attacks spoke of demons in human form, creatures that could not be stopped, could not be killed, could not be reasoned with. The stories grew with each telling. The Galactic Assembly held an emergency meeting. For 80 years they had dismissed humanity as a minor species. Young, primitive, weak. Now they watched footage of the awakened tearing through the best soldiers. What are these things? The assembly speaker demanded. A high commander stood before them, his gray face tight with anger and something else. Something that looked like fear. We do not know, he admitted. They appear to be enhanced humans, but their abilities exceed anything in our records. They are faster than our targeting systems, stronger than our combat armor. We cannot kill them. Then send more soldiers. Send your entire fleet. Shook his head. You do not understand. These creatures are not soldiers. They are predators. They do not fight like soldiers. They hunt. They enjoy it. Our troops are breaking. They refuse to face these things. The assembly fell silent. For the first time in their long history, they looked at humanity with fear. Back on Earth, Doctor worked without sleep. The awakened were effective, but they were also unstable. The 80 years in had damaged some of them. Their minds were fracturing. Some were becoming too violent, too disconnected from reality. They were losing the thin threads that still connected them to humanity. One awakened, a man named, killed 3 human technicians who startled him. He did not mean to. His reflexes simply activated. By the time his mind caught up with his body, the technicians were dead. He stared at their bodies with empty eyes. I did not want to do that, he said. I could not stop myself. Sedated him and ran tests. The news was not good. The enhancement process had permanent effects on brain chemistry. Without constant monitoring, the awakened would continue to degrade. They would become pure predators, unable to distinguish between friend and enemy. As he told, he listened in silence. Then he gathered the other awakened. We are breaking, he told them. Our minds are failing. Some of us have already crossed the line. We killed humans, our own people. He looked at each of them in turn. I will not let that happen again. We will control ourselves. We will remember why we are fighting, not because we love humanity, but because we chose this. We chose to become monsters to protect the people who could not protect themselves. Some of them nodded, others looked away. One woman smiled. Why should we control ourselves? She asked. We are stronger than them, faster, better. Why should we pretend to be less than we are? Because we are still human, answered. No, shook her head. We stopped being human 80 years ago. You are fooling yourself if you think otherwise. We are something new, something superior. And when this war is over, they will try to put us back in boxes. They will try to bury us again. Are you going to let them? The room went quiet and stared at each other, two predators measuring each other. We will discuss this later, said finally. For now, we have a mission. General had authorized Operation Black Sun. The target was this forward command base, a massive station in the outer solar system. If they could destroy it, the fleet would lose its coordination, its leadership. 100 awakened launched in stealth ships, commanded the support fleet from a distance. He could not join them on the station. He would only be in the way. The awakened breached the station at 6 points simultaneously. What followed was chaos. They had prepared this time. They had heavy weapons, energy shields, armored soldiers. None of it mattered. The awakened adapted. They learned from each other. When one found a weakness, they all exploited it. They communicated without words, through looks and gestures and some instinct that normal humans could not understand. They were a pack, a swarm, a plague of death moving through the station. High Commander was on the station when the attack began. He tried to reach his escape pod. He almost did not make it. An awakened found him in the corridor, a young woman with silver eyes and blood on her hands. Run, she said and smiled. Ran, he reached his pod and launched just as the station's reactor exploded. He watched from space as his command base, his army, his entire operation was destroyed. The awakened had won again. General broadcasts escape footage to every corner of the galaxy. His message was simple. You killed 3 billion of us. You expected us to surrender. You expected us to die quietly. You were wrong. We have been holding back for 80 years. We are not holding back anymore. Recall your fleets. Leave our system, or we will come for you next. The Galactic Assembly demanded that Earth recall the awakened. They called them a threat to galactic stability. They threatened sanctions. They threatened war. His response was short, come and try. Overseer watched the footage from his flagship. He was the one who had planned Earth's destruction. He was the one who had convinced the leadership to strike first. He had believed humans were weak, easy prey. He had been wrong. He watched the awakened tear through soldiers like they were nothing. He watched flee like a frightened animal. He watched humanity rise from the ashes of 3 billion dead. And for the first time in his 200 years of life, felt something new. Fear. A true primal fear. He had created a monster by attacking Earth, and now that monster was coming for him. Lee had spent 3 weeks building the list, 200 names, every officer who had ordered the attack on Earth, every commander who had pushed the button, every politician who had voted yes. She gave the list to General, he gave it to the awakened. The hunt began. They moved in small teams across space, silent, invisible, deadly. One by one, the names on the list disappeared. A general found dead in his own fortress, an admiral killed on his flagship, a governor torn apart in his palace. They could not stop them, they could not even find them. The awakened were ghosts. They appeared, they killed, they vanished. No warnings, no survivors, just bodies and fear. Led a team to find General. He was the officer who had personally targeted Sol, the one who had killed Smother and millions of others, had fled to a colony world on the edge of space. He thought he was safe. He was wrong. His team landed at night, 4 awakened against 2,000 soldiers guarding the general. The fight lasted less than an hour. Found hiding in a basement bunker, the general was shaking. He had seen the reports. He knew what was coming for him. Please, he begged, I was following orders. I did not choose to attack your world. Looked at him with silver eyes. You pressed the button that destroyed Sol. I was ordered to. And the children who burned, were they ordered to die? I had no answer. I killed him, it was quick, cleaner than the general deserved, but did not enjoy killing, not like some of the others. He did what was necessary, nothing more. When his team returned to the ship, one of them complained. We should have destroyed the colony. All of them supported the war against humanity. Shook his head. They are civilians, families, children. We do not kill those who cannot fight back. Why not? They would have killed our children. Because we are not them. His voice was hard. We are monsters, yes, but we choose what kind of monsters we are. Kill soldiers, kill leaders, but leave the innocents alone. Not everyone agreed with this rule. Had been growing worse. Her mind was slipping further into darkness. She no longer saw any difference between soldiers and civilians, enemy and innocent. They were all prey to her. She took her team to a mining colony. The target was a supply commander who had helped fuel the attack on Earth, a minor name on the list, an easy mission. But did not stop at the target. After killing the commander, she turned on the colonists, workers, engineers, families who had nothing to do with the war. By the time she was done, 500 were dead. He intercepted the distress signals. She told. Did not speak for a long time, then he asked for a ship. He found on a dead moon, surrounded by the bodies of her team. They had tried to stop her. They had failed. She was sitting on a rock, cleaning blood from her hands. She looked up when approached. She smiled. I knew they would send you. Why? Asked. Why the civilians? Because I could, she stood. Because I am tired of pretending. We are not human anymore. We are better, stronger. Why should we follow their rules? Why should we care about their morality? And because those rules are all we have left. Laughed, it was a broken sound. You still think you are one of them. You still think you can go back. You cannot. We cannot. We are monsters, and monsters do not pretend to be anything else. Then I will stop you. Well, you can try. They fought, two awakened at the peak of their power, moving faster than human eyes could follow. The moon's surface cracked and shattered around them. Rock turned to dust, metal tore like paper. Was strong, but was stronger. He had held onto his humanity, and somehow that made him more focused, more controlled. He did not waste energy on rage or enjoyment. He simply did what needed to be done. In the end, he stood over her broken body. She was still alive, still smiling. You think you won, she whispered, but I am just the first. Others will fall, others will become like me, and one day you will too. I closed his eyes, maybe, but not today. He ended her life, quick, clean, merciful. Then he sat alone on that dead moon and did something he had not done in 80 years. Well, he cried. Back on Earth, Doctor had been working on a solution. The awakened were degrading. Their minds were falling apart. Without intervention, they would all become like pure predators, uncontrollable. But she had found something, a way to stabilize their brain chemistry, a treatment that could stop the decline, maybe even reverse it. There was one problem: it required consent. The treatment would reduce some of their abilities, make them slightly slower, slightly weaker, still superhuman, but less than they were now. Some refused immediately. They had grown to love their power. They did not want to give up even a fraction of it. Was the first to accept. I want to remember, he told as she administered the treatment. I want to remember why I am fighting. I want to feel something again, something other than the hunt. The treatment worked. Within days, felt different, more connected, more human. The silver in his eyes faded slightly. The constant hunger for violence quieted to a whisper. Others followed his example, not all, but most. The Galactic Assembly had seen enough. The awakened were decimating the military. Their leadership was being hunted to extinction. And worse, other species were watching, learning. Some were even cheering for humanity. Overseer called an emergency meeting. He was the only member of the original attack planners still alive. The awakened had killed everyone else. We must act now, he told the assembly. Humanity is not just surviving, they are growing stronger. In 100 years they will dominate this galaxy. We must destroy them while we still can. The assembly debated. Some species wanted peace. They had seen what humanity could do. They did not want to provoke them further. But fear is a powerful thing. Fear of what humanity would become. Fear of the awakened. Fear of a future where humans ruled the galaxy. In the end, fear won. The Galactic Assembly declared humanity a threat to galactic stability. They authorized military action. Every species in the Assembly would contribute ships. They would form the largest armada in galactic history. And they would destroy Earth once and for all. A general received the news with cold calm. He had expected this. He had prepared for this. How many ships? He asked. I checked the intelligence reports. 50,000, maybe more, 12 species combined. Nodded. Earth had rebuilt some of its fleet. They had 3,000 ships now. better than before, but not enough, not nearly enough. He looked at the star map, at the fleet gathering in the distance, at the doom approaching his world. "Call the awakened," he said, "all of them. We have one last battle to fight." The coalition fleet entered the solar system like a swarm of metal locusts, 50,000 warships from 12 species, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Their mission was simple: destroy Earth, end humanity forever. General watched them approach on the tactical display. 3,000 human ships faced 50,000 enemy vessels. The numbers were hopeless. Conventional warfare would end in slaughter. But this was not going to be conventional warfare. 98 awakened had survived the months of hunting. They gathered on a carrier ship at the edge of Earth's defensive line. They were quiet, focused, ready. Stood before them, his silver eyes had faded slightly after the treatment, but they still held that predator gleam. He was the oldest of them now, the strongest, the most human. "You know why we are here," he said. "The galaxy has decided to destroy our world. 50,000 ships against 3,000. They think they have already won." Some of the awakened smiled, cold, dangerous smiles. "They do not know us. They have heard stories. They have seen recordings, but they do not understand what we are." Looked at each of them. "We were created as weapons. We were feared, hated, locked away in the dark. For 80 years we slept while humanity forgot we existed. Then they woke us because they were desperate, because they had no other choice." He paused. "Today we show them that choice was right. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten our home. Not as monsters, not as weapons, but as humanity's shield." An awakened named hand stepped forward. She had been a doctor before the project. Now she could kill with her bare hands faster than most people could blink. "We will not survive this," she said. "There are too many of them, even for us." "Probably not," agreed. "But survival was never the point. The point is making them pay. The point is showing them that Earth is not easy prey. The point is buying time for our people to live." "Is it worth it, dying for people who locked us in cages?" Thought about that. He thought about Doctor, who had created them and also cured them. He thought about Captain Park, who faced his fear every day to work alongside them. He thought about the billions of humans who would die if they failed. "Yes," he said, "it is worth it, not because they deserve it, because we choose to make it worth it. We choose what we die for. And I choose to die protecting the species that gave us life, even if that life was full of pain." The awakened were silent, then one by one they nodded. "For Earth," said. "For Earth," they echoed. The Battle of Sol began at midnight Earth time. Human ships engaged the enemy fleet first. They were outnumbered, but they fought with desperate fury. Every ship that fell bought seconds. Every second was precious. Captain Park commanded a strike force alongside the awakened. His job was to get them close to enemy flagships, close enough to board, close enough to kill. "Launching pods," he reported as their carrier approached the coalition's command cluster. "Awakened are away." 30 pods shot toward 30 different flagships. Each pod carried 3 awakened, 90 hunters seeking 90 targets. They hit the enemy ships like bombs. Metal screamed, hulls ruptured. and then the awakened were inside, moving through corridors filled with enemy soldiers. The coalition had prepared for this. They had studied the recordings. They knew what the awakened could do. They had deployed their best troops, heavy weapons, energy barriers, everything they could think of. None of it mattered. The awakened were beyond preparation. They moved through the defenders like wind through leaves. Soldiers died before they could aim. Barriers fell like paper. The flagships became tombs. Led a team toward the largest ship in the fleet, the command vessel of Overseer, the architect of Earth's genocide, the man who had killed 3 billion people and called it necessary. They fought through 1,000 soldiers to reach the bridge, lost 2 of his team along the way. Good people, strong fighters, they died so he could keep moving. He burst onto the bridge alone, was there surrounded by guards. The overseer was old and thin, with pale skin and eyes that held centuries of arrogance. But that arrogance was gone now, replaced by terror. "Wait," said as approached. "Please, wait. We can negotiate. We can offer peace. Anything you want." Did not slow down, the guards fired at him. He dodged the shots and killed them in seconds. "You killed 3 billion of us," he said, standing over. "You burned our cities, our families, our children, and now you want to negotiate." "We were afraid," pleaded. "We saw what your species could become. We knew that one day you would threaten us all. We had to act first. It was survival." "You were right to be afraid." His voice was cold. "You saw the future clearly. Humanity would have grown. We would have become powerful. We would have changed this galaxy forever." He grabbed by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "Oh, but you made a mistake." "What mistake?" gasped. "You did not kill all of us." He broke the overseer's neck. The body fell to the floor. The architect of genocide was dead. Broadcast the moment to every ship in the coalition fleet. His death, the fall of the command vessel, the message was clear. "Your leaders are dead. Your fleet is failing. Run or join them." The coalition's morale shattered. Ships began to retreat. Commanders fled. The united front broke into chaos as each species looked out for itself. Earth's fleet pressed the advantage, 3,000 ships against a retreating enemy. The hunters had become the hunted. When it was over, 30,000 coalition ships had been destroyed. The rest fled to the far corners of the galaxy. Earth stood victorious. But victory had a cost. Of the 98 awakened who had fought, only 31 survived. The others had given their lives on enemy bridges, in enemy corridors, holding the line so others could finish the mission. Was among the survivors, barely. He had taken wounds that would have killed any normal human, but he healed. He always healed. The Galactic Assembly sued for peace 3 days later. They had no choice. Their combined fleet had been broken. Their leadership had been humiliated, and they knew that humanity would not stop until they won. General dictated the terms: full recognition of Earth as a major power, reparations for the 3 billion dead, a permanent seat on the Galactic Council, and a promise that any future attack on humanity would be met with total war. The galaxy accepted. They had learned a hard lesson. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was something to be respected. And feared. The surviving awakened were offered a choice. They could return to cryogenic sleep. They could rest again, buried in the dark until they were needed. Most refused. We want to live, told Doctor, really live, not as weapons, not as monsters, just as people, for whatever time we have left. Made it happen, she found places for them, jobs, homes, communities that would accept them. It was not easy. Many humans still feared the awakened, but slowly, gradually, the fear faded. Visited one last time before leaving Earth. "Oh, thank you," he said. She was surprised. For what? For making you into this. For giving me a second chance. He looked at his hands, hands that had killed hundreds, hands that had saved billions. You created us, that was a mistake, but you also healed us. You gave us our minds back, you let us choose who we wanted to be. His eyes filled with tears. I never expected you to forgive me. Forgive, shook his head. I do not forgive, I simply understand. You did what you thought was right, so did we. In the end, that is all any of us can do. Years passed, humanity grew stronger. They colonized new worlds. They developed new technologies. They became exactly what had feared, a dominant force in the galaxy. But they never forgot. They built memorials to the 3 billion dead. They honored the awakened as heroes. They told stories of the monsters who had saved them all. General grew old. He visited the memorial in Seoul often, standing before the wall of names, 3 billion names that could never all be written. Lee joined him one day. She was head of intelligence now. Gray had touched her hair. Lines had marked her face, but her eyes were still sharp. Do you regret it? She asked, unleashing them. Was quiet for a long time. He thought about everything they had lost, everything they had sacrificed, everything they had become. No, he said finally. They killed 3 billion of us. They expected us to kneel. They did not understand something about humanity. What? We do not have the luxury of being civilized when our children are burning. We do whatever it takes, even if it means becoming monsters. High above Earth, a patrol ship drifted through the stars. On its bridge, watched his turn slowly beneath him. He was not fully human anymore. He never would be again. The silver still flickered in his eyes. The predator still whispered in his mind, but it was quiet now, controlled. He had made peace with what he was. He thought about the dead, his team, his fellow awakened, the billions who had burned before he woke, so many lives lost, so much pain. But also so much hope. Earth had survived, humanity had risen. The galaxy respected them now, feared them, yes, but also respected them. And that fear would keep them safe. Smiled, not the predator smile of old, something softer, something almost human. The monsters had saved the world. Now they could finally rest.